Like every game for Nebraska down the stretch here is a big game. It just is. It clearly is. Every single one left is a huge game.
Mhm.
And Michigan's playing well. Minnesota's playing well. At Ohio State's going to be a challenge.
Welcome back into Nebraska Shoot Around. Anna and Mike joining you now, talking some Nebraska women's and men's hoops. Starting on the women's side, Mike, the script is kind of flipped for these Huskers, and now 3 straight losses and 3 losses in a row at home, something that they haven't really done in a long time.
Yeah, they had that nice like double digit win streak at home dating back to last season, and then lost one, and then it kind of it's kind of I don't want to say snowballed, but maybe the injuries and the other thing, just stuff is like caught up to them a little bit here. Obviously, the Big Ten is tough every night. Amy said that after the game on Monday after the loss at Iowa. It's just every night it's hard. Um, and I think they're just trying to figure it out right now. They did a good job. They lost those 3 in a row over the Christmas or holiday break. And then they came back and won a couple games, but now they're in this funk. Now they've played some good teams and all of that, but it's definitely this weird funk, right? Like it's not weird. It just is what it is. Offensively, they aren't really like doing much, and defensively, at least against Iowa the other night, they couldn't shut off one player, right? So, which is hard to do when that player gets rolling and gets to her mid range game like she did.
Yeah, I mean, specifically looking at that Iowa loss, it just felt like the offense couldn't keep up, and then defensively just got out of hand, couldn't get any stops. And you mentioned Lucy Olson being that player that the Huskers just couldn't find an answer for. And I mean, I think you point back to the Natalie Potts injury, who would have been a very helpful factor in her length and in covering a player like Lucy Olson. But yeah, plenty of things that hurt the Huskers from that Iowa loss. But are you hitting the panic button if you're a Husker fan?
I maybe a little bit, to be honest, because eh, it sounded, in the post game that it was, well, we need to just get back to work and get working and get with our coaches and play and watch film and find out where we can get better and different things. There was a little hidden messages there, I think, from Alexis Markowski, who's the clear team leader. Um, so I don't know if the extra work and stuff has kind of slowed down. I get it. Like it's February. It's been a long season, long travel. All of those things has happened. But at the same time, how do you like figure it out, right? Like there's just something to figure out. And offensively against Iowa, it got really stagnant, and um, no one but Birdie Rimdahl was like driving to the basket or attempting even to like take their person off the dribble and get to the basket. And that's one question I guess I asked Birdie and Amy after the game, and Birdie said, "Yeah, my coaches have told me like that's what they want us to do, like want me to do more," and she did. She did. Like she was 5 of 8 from the field and hit 1 of 3 threes and made 9 free throws. I mean, that's one super positive in that game. They were 23 of 29 from the free throw line, which is almost 80%. And as a team in a game, that's pretty good. Um, and they were 7 of 17. I mean, 41% from threes, still pretty good. It just maybe needed to get a handful more opportunities, especially for that team. But Iowa did a nice job. They really did. They absolutely took Britt Prince out of the game. They weren't just like hard hedging ball screens. They were what I guess I would call an L hedging, where they were just totally forcing her left. I mean, it was full body head like on the other side of the screener, and they did a great job of staying connected and all of those things. Now, on the opposite end, Nebraska didn't do a great job of um, creating shots, like finding shots. There wasn't a lot of movement without the ball. There was standing around the 3-point line. And when you did throw it in, they did throw it into Alexis Markowski. She was triple teamed. So, and there's overhead passes that are like, yeah, like maybe that's a pat, like a fake, and then to the side or something. It's kind of back to basics as far as making those entry passes to the post, but it was a little bit like, hey, man, like someone just waiting for someone to do something and stand around and watching Alexis try and do everything on her own with three, people guarding her at times, which is really, really hard to do.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it also goes to show the respect that Britt has gotten from other
Yeah,
teams and their scout because I mean, if you watch the film back, she is being face guarded beyond the 3-point line. Uh,
right.
do you think that's going to be another thing she'll have to adjust to of being one of the focal points now, especially the aforementioned Natalie Potts injury? Like she is one of the focal points outside of Markowski now.
Yeah, and it's something though that she's dealt with her entire life. I
Right.
mean, in high school she was triple, double, triple teamed, face guarded. People tried everything. Now that the level of athlete is a little bit
Yeah.
better now, so it's something she's got to adjust. Like she has to adjust, or the team has to adjust to finding different ways for her to get the ball in her hands. Maybe it's someone else brings the ball up the court and opens her up for some movement on some. Maybe there's back screens to get her the ball or something. There's just got to be a little more creative to get her involved, I think.
Mhm.
Um, it doesn't get any easier right now. I mean, the next two games are at Maryland and at Illinois, and Illinois is playing great right now in the league. So they're like, I think 9-4, something like that. So both road games. Got to find a way to maybe at least split that
Yep.
and make it, I mean, salvage something. I still think they're going to be a tournament team. I don't think that any of that, unless just the wheels really just totally fall off here. I still think they'll be in the NCAA tournament.
Sure. So take care of business. This team's still in. Don't necessarily have to hit that panic button unless something
Right.
really goes awry. Um,
Correct.
you mentioned it at number 17 Maryland tomorrow. This is the first matchup between these two teams this season, so haven't seen each other, but obviously seen plenty of film on one another. But biggest keys for that Maryland matchup and what could be a really big stamp on the resume for the Huskers.
Yeah, Maryland's number 17 in the country. They're pretty good. They're actually really good. I I just wonder, they have some size now, like they have 5'5" guard, but they also have Kubek is 6'2". Shanae Sellers is averaging 13, but Kylene, I'm not going to say this right. Smikely probably is a guard that averages 18 and a half a game. That I think that's pretty good.
Mhm.
So they don't have a ton of size, but which could be good for someone like Alexis Markowski to just kind of dominate, and they
Yep.
kind of need it. They kind of need it. They have, I mean, a couple 6'2" posts and players there, but not a ton of size. Now it's a matter of like, can you guard the perimeter and kind of stop the ball and fast break, because Maryland kind of likes to run a little bit.
Mhm. And like we mentioned at Illinois on Sunday, so the next episode we'll recap both of those wins or losses. And this is a team that's in the middle of the pack of the standings. So every single Big Ten win or loss really does count in that stacked Big Ten. Let's flip over now to the men's side. Again, the script has continued to flip for the men's team. 4 wins in a row, and most recently against Ohio State at home, 79-71. What has stood out to you on the recent success of the Huskers there?
Yeah, I mean, it's Bryce Williams, obviously, is playing like a first team all league guy. There's some, after the game against Ohio State, there was like this, there's like all American talk. I don't know, but he would have to keep it up for the rest of the season to do that, I think. But he's been fantastic. Like he's been awesome for them. And They need it. They needed him to kind of step up. They needed those senior leaders, him and Juwan Gary, to step up, and they did. They've done a great job of not only Bryce, like during that 6-game losing streak, he deferred, and they lacked a little bit of the toughness that they had earlier in the season or before that 6-game losing streak, and they found it. And I think part of it is the lineup changes they made. Starting Sam Hoiberg is one, and Raleigh Worcester has been great in the last handful of games. He's been awesome. He made a couple huge plays. I mean, the 3 he made against Ohio State was massive, and he was wide open on purpose, but he made it, and that helps. It matters. So he also just is making kind of plays. He's that other ball handler that you can rely on a little bit. There's energy and excitement now kind of back with the team, and they're feeling good about themselves and all that stuff. So Bryce has been a big key, and the lineup changes obviously have I think really helped and kind of opened things up for Bryce, open up some space because Braxton's just Braxton Mean is just a huge guy. So I think it opened things up, and Andrew Morgan, particularly on the road trip against Oregon, and they did it a little bit against Washington. They did some pick and roll stuff with him and Bryce, and he cut to the basket, and Bryce trusted him to catch the pass, like in traffic or with movement, and they connected. So that's another little wrinkle offensively that they've done. It's a positive vibes now for Nebraska men's basketball, I guess.
Well, they're going to need it because they play Maryland at home, a team that they lost to by 3 points on the road, a game the Huskers probably should have gotten.
Yeah.
But you get another opportunity in Pinnacle Bank Arena. I would say is this a must win, Mike?
No, I think it's as close to a 50-50 game as you can maybe get. It's like Ken Palm does projections of who's going to win, and it projects Maryland to win 74-73. They also had Ohio State winning the game too, but it's about a 50-50 shot because it's inside Pinnacle Bank Arena, which Nebraska plays really well there, and they get to the free throw line there way more than they do on the road. So I don't know if it's fans getting on the refs and kind of influencing stuff, but it definitely is a 50-50 game, and they should. I think Nebraska feels like they should have beat Maryland at Maryland. I think they should have. They were right there and probably needed to or should have got that done. So it'll be interesting. Berke Buyuktuncel is not going to play. Rolled his ankle. It was such a freak weird thing. He went up, grabbed offensive rebound, under a minute left. Game's kind of in the balance. Like he definitely should have been in the game, but it just stinks that it happened in that moment where he was just kind of the offensive rebound or the defensive rebound he got, kind of just sealed the game. And he just came down and just twisted his ankle pretty bad. So Coach Hoiberg did say that he's going to be out for a while, and hopefully it's just maybe this one game. Because the last 2 games he's played well. He's played really well. Actually, the other night against Ohio State was probably his best game since he's been at Nebraska. So I think his attitude and attitude, it would be what I would say, has changed for the positive. And because before he'd make a bad play or turnover or something, he'd kind of mope a little bit or look around or throw his hands up and do those sort of things. Or if he get checked out of the game, subbed out, he'd have a reaction or stuff like that. So I think he's calmed down. He hasn't made as many bad turnovers or unforced turnovers as he had at the beginning of the year. So he's taken to coaching more, I believe. So I think it's really helped. But without him, against a Maryland team who branched their post, he's really good, freshman. So I just wonder if they'll probably go back to you'll see Braxton Mia play quite a bit. I would think to kind of combat that size that Maryland has and physicality, because they're gonna need something, and they're gonna have to play defense without fouling. They got in foul trouble pretty bad against Ohio State, and somehow hung on at the end of the first half, despite 3 guys with 2 fouls. And Coach Hoiberg is a guy that his philosophy doesn't play guys with 2 fouls in the first half. So they'll need to kind of play without fouling as well. Maryland's a physical, really good team this year, a top 25 team, and another opportunity for a quad 1 win, which would be even cement their resume a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And then at Northwestern on Sunday, how do you look at that matchup in terms of where this team needs to be when it comes Big Ten tournament time?
Yeah, Northwestern is kind of reeling a little bit right now. Barnhizer, he's killed Nebraska the last 2 years. He's out for the year, and so he's one of their, if not their best player, one of their best players. So him being out makes that a little more doable. It's a Sunday afternoon game. Feel like it could be a little sleepy, Northwestern, and they've lost a handful here, so it's kind of like they're on this downhill trend. So I don't know if a ton of fans will show up or not, but it's definitely one that is a gettable win on the road, for sure. And then after that you have at Penn State, which feels like it that's always just a weird place to play. They never play well there. They're playing at Bryce Jordan Center. It's going to be empty. It's hard to get to. All those things, just the travel part. They just never played well there. So if they can split those 2 away games, that'd be a super positive. If they can get that Maryland game. Maryland, it's a big game. Like every game for Nebraska down the stretch here is a big game. It just is. It clearly is. Every single one left is a huge game. Mm-hmm. And Michigan's playing well. Minnesota's playing well. At Ohio State's going to be a challenge because of what Nebraska did to them, on Sunday. So, and then you finish the year with Iowa. So everyone is big, but right now they're squarely to get to probably that 20 win mark and be 10-10-ish in the conference. And if they do that, like, they're easily in the tournament. I've said it, I don't know how many times all year. I said if they can get to 9-11, 10-10, right there, they'll be in the tournament. They'll be a 9-10 seed, and that's pretty much where they're slated right now. As far as tournament stuff, they're not on the bubble anymore. They're kind of past that. They're on the other side of the good side of the bubble. So if they can, especially Maryland, like that one would be a pretty big win. Pretty big win if they can get that done.
So yeah, our conversation about is this Nebraska team making the Big Ten tournament, that's over.
Yeah,
now,
pretty good about that right now.
Now fans are back to, okay, what seed line can this team get? So this year has been just a roller coaster for fans. It's been crazy.
It's been a roller coaster for someone that covers every single one.
You're making different March plans left and right, Mike.
Every single game, it's like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's here, maybe it's not. Maybe I don't know if I'm even going to go to the Big Ten tournament. It's just, there's a lot of maybes that have gone through my mind, but I think they're pretty squarely. I don't know. Last projections I saw a couple, like they're a 10 seed, so that means they're pretty squarely kind of on the other side of the bubble. And this year the bubble is pretty soft. So Nebraska has 5 quad 1 wins. No other bubble team can say that. So, like, I don't know. Unless they lose every one of the next games, I think they're probably going to be okay.
You said it now, Mike. You said it now. You've opened that can of worms.
No, I didn't. Don't put that on me.
We'll cut that part out. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining Nebraska Shoot Around. We'll talk to you guys next time.